This is the setup at Pike High School for their video scoreboards and scores table. We got two LED tables that go together. We have all the cable management done. And you get the tables are labeled left table and right table. And then we have a whip for each table. For hooking the tables together, you have two locks, one right here with the male and female, and then the other is inside this first access door of the left table. You got the male that goes through that slot into the female on that table, on the right table. Now we've locked the right and left table together with, this is the exterior latch, and then we have an interior latch on the inside of the right cabinet of the left table. Those two latches need to be locked and down. So we've just done power and signal for the right table. So you have two power cords, one for the LED section of the table and one for the sets of power strips in the table. So we have this on its own dedicated circuit, and then we have signal to the table. The cable's labeled scores table and the port is labeled scores table, but it is the two bottom green ports that are active for our system here. Just hooked up table number 2, the left table, which it has its own two power cords, which is on a separate circuit. Again, one is for the LED display on the table, the other is for the power strips in the table. So we have 4 power cords total, 2 on one circuit, 2 on the other. The other communication is the blue cable labeled KVM, and it goes in the other green port called KVM. And then there's actually an audio port too that is in addition to our system, and it plugs into the audio.
Okay, good to go on that.
Last step is to connect the communication of the two tables from left to right, and it's just a Cat 5 plug with a beefier connection for durability. We are in the control room at Pike. This is the KVM that is extending the mouse monitor and keyboard out to the scores table. Right now we have the monitor hooked up direct in the control room for practice, and we're going to move to the scores table. So what you do is you unplug the signal, the HDMI cable, from the back of the monitor, and it gets plugged into the HDMI port on this KVM right here. And that's what's going to allow us to operate from the scores table. In addition to making that change, you move the monitor out to the scores table and the power cord travels with the monitor. There is already an HDMI cord out at the table for the monitor to operate out there. The other part that you have to move when the mouse monitor and keyboard travels is this USB dongle for the wireless communication for the mouse and the keyboard. So you'll grab the monitor, the power cord for the monitor, the mouse, the keyboard, and this USB dongle, and that's everything that goes from the control room out to the scores table. Lock the table in place for the game. I would recommend getting the table hooked together first, having it favored back from where you want it, and then when you get it centered, you pull the table forward so these casters are facing out and you can do the brakes on them. I had to shift the table a little right to left after I put it in place, so you can see the casters are a little angled, but I can still hit the brakes. So with the flap down, the brakes are on. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 brakes set. This table's not going anywhere. Now that we've had the monitor, keyboard, and mouse brought out to the scores table, in the left table middle cabinet, open the access door, and we have a virtual scoreboard interface that gets used with the Touch Connect, but we're using the Watchfire tablets now, so this USB cable can stay unplugged This is what gets plugged into the KVM if we're going to use the touch connect. But what I did for the mouse monitor and keyboard is there's USB ports on the bottom of this, and I added that USB dongle for the wireless mouse and keyboard is right on the bottom side of this KVM. This is the HDMI cable that stays with the table. The end of this goes into the monitor, and we will be ready to fire up the system. Okay, now we have the USB dongle in the KVM. We have power and signal to our monitor. The computer was already on in the electrical closet, the AV room. And so now we're ready to load the Ignite Sports 2 software. So I double click on this icon. It's loading our software. We get a pop-up. We have a JV game first. So we go to layouts in the right. We got JV basketball layout created. Double click on that. That moves it over here. And then we want to go to the game tab. Click on that. And then we're going to hit start basketball. We get our pop-up. This is our chance to put in the electronic team name, any rules and regulations for the game that could be custom. This is your opportunity to change any of these settings. If we want to add the home team, if we want to select the home team roster, we could go Pike, boys JV, okay. And then we got generic numbers in for the guest team. And so we hit okay. Everything pops up over here. We hit okay. And now we're ready for our game and to remote in with our tablet. We can also hit publish here. And now it's woke up our scoreboard. So everything is tested. We have 2 scoreboards, 2 shot clocks. Let's see our score table. All right, it's on. I don't know that that's who they're playing tonight, but we are communicating and the setup is complete. Just went and grabbed the 2 tablets, got them charging to make sure they're fully charged for tonight's game. But just to see how these work, hit the top button out of 3. It wakes it up. We have an Ignite Sports 2. Double click on that. It loads our software, comes up with the connection. You just hit connect. And now, since on the computer we've already started a basketball game, this allows us to join basketball 1. So we click on that, that mirrors the desktop operation. And if I hit play on the clock, we're playing here, and you can see it's in sync with the video boards and shot clocks. So we are tested and ready for tonight's game.